All right, guys, thank you for joining me for Module 3. This is honestly where we get into the fun stuff of WordPress. This is where you really learn how to do things on WordPress. So now, this is my personal favorite part. I really hope you take time to either open up WordPress and you have an existing site that maybe you got stuck on and you don't really understand the functions of it and you want to follow along and see the things that I do here to help you manipulate your site. Or if not, I really hope you at least follow the same steps that I'm using so that way you can create something beautiful. And I would love to hear future sites were built on WordPress by all the developers that came to this Learn Worlds class. So now, let's just dive right into it. Now, when you click on pages here on the left-hand side, it takes you to all the pages that you have on your actual WordPress database. Another thing to mention here really quickly before we dive into the pages, here's your media library. Now, your media library houses all the information that you're going to use on your WordPress site. Now, that can range anywhere from any sort of videos, any sort of images, if you have any icons, if you have any PDFs as well too that are downloadable, if you have any sort of downloadable documents, ebooks, any information that you want to post on your site, you can post it here inside your library, and you can see what links they are, where they go to, so that way if you ever have to reference them to, the file URL is right here. And it's easy. It'll tell you what type of, if it's an image, it'll tell you the size, what the pixels are, when it was last loaded, gives you all the general information for it. You can also view the attachment, you can also delete it, what have you. This is your library. This is where all the information will sit. And as you can see, we also have some downloadable PDFs as well too. So like 6 Ways to Grow, which was the webinar that we did. If somebody were to click on this link, I know it just shows the icon here for right now, but it is an actual PDF. So when you go to the link to the site, you can download this PDF for free. Okay, now just diving into it, when we click on pages again, okay, there's 2 tabs. There's all pages and there's add new. So now you can edit one of these pages if you already have a site and you're just working on it, making a couple of modifications. If you are going to do this, and I'll brush up on this coming soon enough, you always want to go ahead and click on the duplicate this tab. And the reason why I say that is because you never want to work on a live site. The way how you can tell if that page is live is if it says published. You do not want to work on a live site. Unless it says draft, like this page here, which has no title, and we'll go ahead and delete that one now, and I'll show you how to do that. It's just a trash feature here. You do not want to mess with a live site here. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because if you decide to create changes on a live site and for some reason something goes wrong, something didn't pan out the way how you wanted it to, you will not get that information back unless you have a rollback feature or unless you have some sort of backup of the actual page. I always recommend duplicate this. So now we're going to go ahead and delete this page. That was just one that I created just to show you where the draft option was. Now, you want to go ahead and click on Add New. This is if you're going to start a brand new page. Title. You can name this page whatever you prefer. Obviously, don't go ahead and name the page that, but whatever you do decide to call the page, that is what everybody will see up top here. So like if I were to name it Home, it would say Home. If I were to name it Test Page, it would say Test Page. Maybe even Pest Control, it would say Pest Control here. So just whatever title you want to give the page, just go ahead and type it in here. Now, if you notice, there's 2 features underneath. There's the back end editor and then there's the front end editor. Now, there's 2 ways that you can do this page. My personal preference, when you're starting off a brand new page, always go into the front end editor. The back end editor is just going to confuse you. Now, we're going to go ahead and click on the front end editor. It's going to give you a notification if you want to leave the site. Just go ahead and click on leave. You're not really leaving the site. All you're doing is going into the builder. So now see, this is the actual builder. When you notice the actual builder, you'll notice that the header, which is the logo, the menu structure, okay, and then the notification bar that we have there, plus the footer is automatically inserted into any blank page that you add. So don't feel like you have to add all this information again. You don't at all. All you have to worry about is the body of the actual page. So now we're going to go ahead and click on add element. Now, there's one specific thing that I wanted to address here. There's sections and then there's rows. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's take this sample site as a perfect way to define whether it's a section or a row. Now, the top portion here, which has the banner image of this attorney, this part here where it's the actual picture of the attorney is the section. Okay. This part here where it has the text that says don't suffer through your injuries alone, receive just a settlement for injuries, book your free consultation. This here is a row within this section. Think of breaking a website into sections on how to define and customize the actual background. So let's say I didn't want to put this picture of the attorney here. You want to maybe have a nice black background or maybe a red background, what have you. You'll be able to do that with just the red. And now you'll only be able to customize that section in red, and that means that this site or this side will stay white. That means this will also stay white. That means this will stay exactly how it is. But if I wanted to edit this background image and make it red too, we can define that section independently. So the way how it works is that sections are what keep the background in place together for an actual website. So just running through it again from bottom to top. This form here, that is one section. This right here, all this information, this text and everything with the white background, that is one more section. This banner with all this text information, that is one section. Same thing with all this text here with the testimonials and even this here and these badges, that is one section as well too. And then all this information here, that is also one section. Now, how does that work? Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll add a section here. And let's wait for that to propagate. Let's make sure. Yep, I just saw it popped out in the background. Okay, so see, when we add the section, if you hover over it, you don't have to click on anything. You see, you automatically get these pencil icons. You can go ahead and add to this actual section if you want to add a specific feature that's not a content or a row or anything else. You can also clone a section if you find that you've already kind of laid out a template foundation in a way and just makes it easier to build the rest of the site. You can always just clone it or you can always delete it. In this case, we want to go ahead and edit the section. So now, let's say you want to start off with a red background. You go ahead and click on design options, background. You can either select the color or you can select an image. If you click on the plus icon, you see here, you can click on whatever image you prefer. I'm just clicking on this one just to show you how it works. You want to go ahead and click on that image. You click on save changes, exit out of it, and then see the image is showing up. Now, why is this image only showing up partially? Is because you haven't added any other elements to the actual site. So now when we click on the actual plus icon, now you can add, see, the only feature that I have here is just to add a row. Once I add the row, see, now I have all this information here, which adds a column, and then you can add certain features here. So now when I click on the plus icon within that row, now the sky's the limit. I can add all this information here. Let's say I want to add a text block here. Okay, we'll wait for that information to propagate. And again, this is such an easy custom builder that you can go ahead and add as much information as you want. So WordPress is a simplified, user-friendly platform on how to build websites without having to code anything thus far. And as you can see, I have not coded a single thing into the site. We can go ahead and change how we want the heading to be. If we want the heading to be large, like that. If you want it to be bold, font options, if you want it to be italicized, if you want it to be a quotation, left aligned, center aligned, whatever you prefer. If you want it to link over somewhere else, standard text editor, basically. You click on Save Changes, wait for that to propagate, and then you see the text is on there, but we do have to change the color. So now you see the information is on there in the background, but you do see that it's not showing up properly because the color is not correct. So now there's this little feature here where it says toggle toolbar. If you click that twice, it actually goes ahead and adds a little bit more to your toolbar. So now you can go ahead and define the text color. The image is a dark image, so we want to try to stick within maybe a lighter color just so that way we have the contrast. So if you click on white, click on changes, there you go. So now when you start scrolling down, as you continuously add more elements to that actual section here, it will start making the image larger. Now, I typically want to go ahead and choose an image that's more banner related. So let's go ahead and swap that out. We'll click the X on there. We'll open up our library again. And then let's go for one that does have a banner image. Let's see, here we go. And you know what? Let's just take one of these. And pixels look about right. Let's go ahead and click on Save Changes. Click on Close. There you go. Now we're getting more towards the banner option. Now, what you want to do is you want to edit this section because this section will define how you can actually have this banner go from end to end. How do you do that? You click on the column here, and then here where it says stretch section, you want to go ahead and click on stretch section and content. What that means is, depending on your screen size and resolution, you are going to go ahead and, or the website rather, would automatically just adjust this information here to here. So we'll click on save. And then as you can see in the background of the actual website, see now the image goes from here to here. That's really how you want to start defining the sections and the rows. Now, in this case, let's say you're done with this section. You want to go ahead and add a separate section because now you don't want to add any further information here. So you click on the plus sign. Okay, you can add either another row if you're not worried about the background, or you can add a section. But remember, there's also a bunch of other things that you can do here to kind of break up the website. You can add buttons, call to actions, custom headings. If you want to do a separator with a text, if you want to just give that one a shot, in terms of title. So we will put, this is a separator with a title. Do you want to click on add an icon? Sure. If you click on yes, it'll give you the option to add whatever icon you want, the color, shape, size. Again, all the listings are here. Whether you want it center positioned, whether you want the separator alignment centered, left adjusted, right, color scheme, style, if you want a border, maybe you wanted a dotted line instead, if you want to play with the border width, same thing. Also, if you wanted to, you can animate it. What the animation means is that when you scroll through the website, it will have transitional effects and elements. So we will brush up a little bit more on this one in module 4 on how to actually edit existing items on a section in a row. Right now, I just want you to understand sections and rows. So I'm going to go ahead and click on save, click close, and then see, adds a nice little separator. If you want to go ahead, add another section. Okay. So we have here, click on edit this section. We're going to do the same thing, stretch content and stretch the section. It doesn't automatically have to be that way. If you purposely intended for the image to cut off here and then not go from end to end, entirely up to you. If you want to use the full section height, which I'll show you how that works, we'll go back to the same picture, which in this case, we'll hit the plus sign. We'll choose the same picture from the top one. And then now we'll hit save changes. And then see, now the image is actually different. See, now it's actually using the whole entire height of the section and the image. Okay, so now when you start adding elements, go ahead and add the row. Okay, now within that row, you want to go ahead and you can add, let's say, another image, and you want to place it on top. You can click on the plus, say you want to add this here, and this is the image you want to choose. Okay, you can give it a title. So we can call it image phone call, just because she's holding a phone. Okay, here you can define, just as it says down here, whether you want it to be a thumbnail, medium, large, or full. In this case, if you want to use a thumbnail, it'll be relatively small. If you use medium, it'll automatically default it to the medium size. Left alignment, you can play around with the settings as well. Same thing. Go ahead and click on save. Same thing. And then see, it adds it as a thumbnail. If I were to change this to medium, click on save, see the image got larger. If I click on large, or type it in, excuse me, same thing, starts getting larger. So it all depends on how you actually want to set up the actual website. Again, WordPress is easy to use, and I mean, as you can see, everything is pretty much spelled out for you. You just go ahead and click on save changes. It'll go back, put that on there, and then you see the title is on there. As far as design options as well, you can always select the border color, the background color, if you want to put the background color a specific customized for just that area. And that's exactly what I was talking about. When you have a row and you have a section, see, that red only pertains to this row. Now, how do you append or add something within that section? So this here is what would be considered a column. If you click on the plus sign, okay, and you want to add an image gallery, let's say, see, it's already adjusting everything and it's just putting it on top. We can exit out of that and we can get rid of that. If you want to add or maybe edit how many sections you want to add here, because you want the image gallery to be next to this, you want to go ahead and click on this icon here. And this is where you can change your row layout. So see, right now we have it on a 1-to-1, meaning that it's taking the entire space. If I click on it to change it 2 for 2, click on update, you see how now this area got smaller, and then now I have a plus sign. That means I can add another element next to that specific element here. If maybe I wanted kind of one side a little bit bigger than the other, you can go ahead and do that. And then see, that automatically made this side bigger, this side smaller, vice versa. This side now is bigger than this side. You can add multiples as well. So let's say you want to have 6 different sections. You could do that as well. Or you can manually type in the mathematical equation. The whole point is that you can add a columns of 6, so they do have to be divisible by 6. Okay, so if you want to add 3s, again, also divisible by 6, you'll also get the 3 different areas. But notice that when you have the maximum allotted of 6s, when you do this section here, the 3s take up the sections of 2, takes up those 2 sections, and takes up those 2 sections. So that's what I'm trying to get at. You can manually type in how, let's say you wanted to do these 2 areas selected together, you would take out the 6 and do a +1 3. So that way it knows to take up this area here. So again, you can define all these elements, and that's exactly why we have rows and columns. Rows define the entire section of this. Now, when we are talking about stretching content and stretching the row, see here, remember, click on the full height. You can go ahead and click Save Changes. Automatically gives you the full picture, just as you can see there. If you want to change the position of the actual icon, or excuse me, the text in this case, if you want to put middle, you can always change the bottom. And what that'll do is that it'll take this here and it'll push it either to the top, middle, or the bottom. You can use a video background. Again, you can animate all the features, so that way this text here let's say you make it fly in or ease in this case, you know, fade in, you have different transitional effects. If you click on here, it'll show you like what the actual animation is. See, fade in left, fade in right. And then of course you have everything else here. You have bounce left, you have other different types of, you know, zoom in, just like that. So that all these animations will happen as you're scrolling through the actual website. Okay, so we can click on save changes. That takes care of that one, and see, that's exactly what's going to happen. And that's why we want to have sections and rows. The section is the glue that holds all this information within here. Okay, and then again, you can still define how much more information you want to add here. If you want to add, let's say, pie charts, because you want to go ahead and add, you know, some sort of informational documentation, you can define that there as well too. And it will also give you some pie chart settings as well on how you want to add to it. So like label value, the units, the color, design options, everything else is still the same. The only thing you're doing is just basically playing around with the sections, and then you're playing around with the rows. And again, you can define how many of each you want. Okay, so everything, you just click on that arrow, edit the row. You want to go back to maybe having just less options there. Click on update and see all that information. You just click on the pie chart. You want to go ahead, value 50. Maybe you want to do value 90 because you're presenting something else. See, that automatically starts populating it. So whatever information you want to add, you first always have to start off with the section, define how you want that section to look on your site. Then you start with the row contents in there. So everything has its own individual function. So let's take a look at this website as well. Again, this here, one section. This here is one section, but it has rows of 3, and then it has in each row, it's got 3 images. So in order to recreate something like this, just like that, you want to go ahead and click on the plus. You want to go ahead and add a section first. Then you click on row. Okay, and then under row, click here to add the 3. Click on update. And then you would add single image. For right now, I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. So that way you can see that there's a placement holder there. Single image. Go ahead and click save again. So that way there's a placement holder. And then again, you want to add single image and place again. So again, all we did was just add a section and add the 3 rows. That's how you would create something like this. Of course, our database has a mass amount of different types of images that it would make no sense to just create something random out of fresh air. We would have our designer actually come up with the content and the media and the layout on how she would want things to be laid out. But that is the whole point of it. You create the section first, then you create the row, and then you define what elements go in the row, just so that way you have full control of the background. And with that, guys, now we are going to go ahead and progress into module 4.